Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to URU. So, we are standing here without moving whatsoever for 15 minutes. And the reason we're doing that is because that's the solution to the puzzle. If you didn't catch the last recording, that's been the solution to the puzzles for the past 45 minutes. Uh, you get to the mixing factory, you put in apparently the right combination and the right bit of information, and then you wait 15 minutes for the mixing factory to make these pellets. Then you drop the pellets into the special borrow chamber, which is the endpoints that you reach for getting to the end of the two major areas in the Path of the Shell DLC. And you drop it from the top chamber, and then 15 minutes later, it magically falls down to the bottom chamber. Why it takes 15 minutes to drop from the top of one place to the bottom of another place, who knows? Uh, and it's not like it magically floats down or anything. It just falls, and then you have about 5 seconds to take a picture with your key device. Otherwise, you're screwed and you have to do it all over again. On top of which, when you make the pellets, there is an ejection I did it wrong lever to the left there that you have a 50% chance of pulling, not realizing that it was the wrong thing to do. So you could easily take an extra 15 minutes, and I did, to make the pellets a second time. And then you have to, after all of that, you kind of completely unconnected to finding the chamber and getting all the images. You have to figure out that on the little pieces of paper you've been seeing in all of the Path of the Shell DLC, they have been giving you these things that look like times. Something colon something, a number colon not something, another number. Turns out that those are actually uh, book and lines, and if you bother to not use a walkthrough, which would be a huge mistake in URU in general, and probably a huge mistake in a lot of the Myst games, I think you probably could figure out all of Myst with maybe one lookup of one solution in on a walkthrough. And Riven is a lot more complicated, so I could see you needing 3 to maybe even a dozen hints in Riven, particularly if you're tone deaf and don't get that final sound puzzle figured out. But Uru, man, you're gonna need a walkthrough from point A to point B, all the way to point Z. There's very few things you would have figured out. A lot of them, in at least the main part of Uru, are just physical actions that you can do. And the Path to the Shell also throws in the ability to swim in one area that you have to be able to figure out that you can do that. But then it also takes away your ability to swim in the other area. So clearly it was different teams that were programming whether you could swim or whether you couldn't, and they didn't integrate it into any of the previous areas. That would have been really nice if you got some kind of like wetsuit or some scuba gear equipment, and then all of a sudden every area that had water in it you could jump in and swim and reach more areas. That's really what I would have preferred to see with the Uru expansions in particular, is that they just continued to make Dunny bigger and bigger, and have it rebuild itself magically and just look nicer and nicer. More akin to something like a Second Life. I think that's kind of what they were trying to do with Uru Live, is that for this to be kind of a social world that had a little bit of puzzles going on, but that wasn't the real thing. And the previous expansion to Deny, in Uru Live, you would have been able to put your own coordinate marker points. So I suppose if it was like Second Life and people were creating their own art and creating their own like architecture of Deny. You could put coordinates in certain places and have people go on Easter egg hunts to find interesting frescoes to look at, interesting buildings, interesting elements throughout the world as it just gets built bigger and bigger, particularly if you got the players to make most of the content instead of the creators of the game to make most of the content. But that concept has never really succeeded, not even now, because Dreams and Sackboy, I forget what the one before Dreams was made was called. Both of those games really fail to get people to embrace their creativity and make something that is new and fresh and not copyrighted. Dreams is just kind of notorious for having to purge a whole bunch of recreations of Nintendo content. So yeah, most people aren't that creative, and it just doesn't work as an idea, particularly if you're not paying people to make content. So that would have never really worked. So the only way I imagine URU Live would have actually worked is if it had been simply a case of it being like a World of Warcraft game with no RPG elements and no monsters to kill. Maybe if you threw in some characters that just played tag with you, so somebody would tag you and then you would run and tag them every now and then, at least I'd give you some action to do. Alright, so that was 15 minutes. 15 minutes of waiting on the platform over here in the light on the symbol of the path of the shell to get this ladder to get up here. And yes, this ball is the path of the deceiver, so it doesn't do anything. There is very little left of this game, but it is definitely the culmination of a lot of complicated garbage. A lot of stuff that's not going to go down in my book as good design. You can see here the clock theme is getting repeated. They tried rather well to improve this, but I think the thing that would have really fixed this and made this good probably would come down to an upgrade to your key system so you could actually see the time up here in Deny or otherwise. Just a new little screen that showed you the time would have been great, and frankly it wouldn't have hurt for people playing the game in general. And I think that if I fall down here, I'd just be back to where I was. Yeah, so I don't think there's a new path that way. Let's see, we can't click this. I can't click this. So let's click this. Okay, so we've got some worm gears rather slowly making a platform for us. I guess none of this otherwise correlates to anything, although all these gears and planetary gears and all that seem to kind of relate to something. And the color changed. Like, I'm trying not to just look at the walkthrough, but there is, I guess, a major danger of that. There's definitely a lot of gears here that look like the gears that showed the Ahone Islands that pretended like it moved time around. And here we are. We've got a giant star field, star fissure, or a fake star field. Looks like it's actually a fake star field. And we have a great tree, which is probably a real tree of some importance. Probably a major thing that is described in the describing book of this area, which I guess this is part of Deny. So that's now when abduction finally came around, there's a giant tree that connects 4 of the worlds, and no loading when you walk through those worlds, or less loading perhaps. Maybe there was some loading. We've got some nice audio here, and we can see over here another picture. Nothing to click on. And here you have the path of the shell being depicted through this light. Let's see what this does. It seems like it did nothing. Or did it block off the door? Interesting. Will I walk far enough away that the audio will fade out? Yes, I will. And so then the audio will fade out. Fade back in, I guess. It's kind of harmoniously screaming in a weird way. I don't know why there's so many buttons in URU that close the door behind you. It almost feels like if you were going to make a multiplayer game, you almost would have to separate people into the red versus the blue, and somebody would have to be the bad guy just trying to reset puzzles on people so that they can't just easily walk through already solved puzzles, and nobody's going to want to play as the bad guy doing that. Not as many people as who would want to actually try and solve the puzzles. So you'd almost then have to create every puzzle in a way that it locked out the previous puzzle to go forward. So you would have to just kind of undo everything you did. And that would probably not be very varied. Right. So I'm just going to read what it says to do on the walkthrough. Said, after standing on the thing and getting the ladder, you were supposed to climb the ladder, walk around to the end of the ledge. You'll see why it's folly to follow the path of the stone. Press the button at the end of the line and cross the bridge. We did that. Then you follow the stairs down and exit into the tree chamber, across the suspension bridge and into the tree. On the wall is a shell cloth and then a grid. On the back wall is a switch that turns off the lights. If you have admired the night sky, turn the lights back on. Okay, wait. So, did I turn off these lights out here? They still seem on, but I definitely am seeing that the sky is now missing. Okay. Take note that I'm taking special effort to not walk in the center of the path. So it's odd that that does multiple things. This also looks like there would be a secret panel or something there, and I don't think there really is. Yeah, I saw stars here before. Now I don't see stars. What happened? Was I dreaming up the stars? Or maybe I didn't see stars. Maybe it was always like this. Well, it doesn't feel like that switch turned off lights then. Is there another switch somewhere around here? It would turn off lights? Well, whatever. Maybe the game is just a little glitched. And there I just walked the camera into the wall. Alright. So, the whole game has been telling you to walk the path of the shell. So it's not the silliest idea that you're supposed to just walk the path of this shell. But I do recall this not working the first time I tried it, because it was just a little persnickety. Go to the entrance to the tree and follow the spiral path to the center of the tree. Make sure you are not standing on the spiral before you begin. If you follow the path, you will link to a familiar location. If you don't know where you are, then don't worry. Okay. So, got it. I think we can go ahead and turn off the key, because I don't think that's going to help us any. Okay. So we're going to start here. And then we're going to walk fairly slowly and not run it. I guess running the path of the shell would not follow instructions. You don't see a lot of instances where games make you walk in specific paths or anything like that, because the pathfinding is hard to program and not particularly the greatest. Also, there's not much of a variance here, so they could have definitely made the path glowing blue or brighter yellow, and the rest of the tree ground a darker blackish color. Yep. There is some pathfinding technology in the final Myst game, and it didn't work very well either. So this might have been the beginning of trying to program for this. And I guess it is slightly kinder that they didn't have us go. There we go, got it on the first try. Slightly kinder that they didn't have us go through the whole game doing stuff like that. So, if you don't know where we are, this is a recreation of the library on Myst Island. But not all of Myst Island. And if I was to be a little fair, I don't think we may get in here, but I don't think we get out. So what we should be able to do is just click this button. Easy enough. And it's not like you're gonna game over or anything and die. So remember, Myst Island not part of Deny, and this is after the events of Myst 1, and I don't think the general idea is that I don't think any of the Atrus family really came back to Myst after that point. So our girl is looking good, although our girl is still really pretty indistinguishable from a guy from the back. This would have been the picture that you would have clicked on to open this door. So they didn't bother to build any of the rest of it. You can get a nice little picture here, and there's probably no hint at all. Also, I imagine this happened before they added the extra area in the Myst Masterpiece Edition, Real Myst Masterpiece Edition, that was in this section. So there would be no indication of this. This is just like the perfect point to mention, though, just how compact and how genius Myst the first game was, where you start right here. There is a puzzle right in here that tells you, a projector that tells you what you're supposed to do in general, and there's a puzzle around that. There's a marker all over the island. There's a ship that rises up here at a certain point. There's a linking book here, a linking book here, a linking book there. There's a linking book here, a linking book there. There's a puzzle here. There's solutions and hints to all the puzzles on Myst Island here at the tower. There's hints on each of these columns to some of the puzzles. There's more puzzles in this place. There's more puzzles in this place. There's a puzzle to open some of these linking books. It's a real small island, and they just use it to the greatest effect. And URU is nothing like that. Here we have what happened to the trap books of the two sons of Atrus that betrayed him. Atrus burnt up the trap books. And so far in the story, there has been nothing to defer you from believing that that doesn't mean you are completely they are completely dead. Spoiler alert for, I guess, the next game. They aren't, but that's a tiny spoiler. They kind of reveal that fairly quickly in the next Myst series. This is where all the linking books would have been, and they are all completely missing. And it sure feels like all of these should be in the Real 2 age. But I guess Yeesha took them and hid them. Those actually may not have been linking books, actually. They may have been descriptive books. And so when those books were destroyed, that probably did destroy their age. If everything was just kind of broken and didn't work, and you could walk around all of Myst, that would have been really nice. And when you load into the Myst, you look up here, which it's spinning around. It's a real nice animation. We didn't get any kind of linking, loading animation like that in this game. It's just a ugly black bar. But yeah. So, all of those symbols that we've been collecting, as light turns on, let's bring up our key. Not these pictures, which I just took for the memories. All of these would line up in a way if you overlapped them all, I guess, into a puzzle symbol. And that's what you did in the first game. Is to get the good ending, you had to come over here and start clicking on squares that will just magically extrude them. Let's see. So instead of referring to all those pictures and potentially having missed some of those pictures, it is way easier just to look at a walkthrough. I guess that's not extrusion if they're indenting. You can toggle these if you click wrong, so you're not gonna be messed up on that. You just use a walkthrough and you'll be way better off. Or I suppose you could just memorize it right now if that's what you wanted to do. So the last one should be here, and then we'll press the red button, and that will take us to Kavir, whichever area that is, if that's the Nevada area or not. And we'll get a message from Yeesha, probably some foreshadowing of the next Myst game. And then I guess Kavir was the place that Atrus was, because he was writing in the descriptive book of Deny, keeping Deny, which is Earth, alive, so it wouldn't make sense for him to have been on Deny at the time. So he was just in a completely different place. Wow, there's still some things to do here. Wow. There's a whole chapter called The Final Steps on the walkthrough. That is weird. Like, it feels like we should be done. It totally feels like we should be done. And yet, there's just more. I don't know why they would tease this, though, and not just give people Myst Island, even if it's nothing, even if there's no puzzles there and nothing's changed, and nothing works. Yes, this is where Atrus was fixing the problems with Deny.
Words fulfilled. Do you believe? I have taken time.
It's just going to be audio.
No, his body no longer lies in his vault. I have seen new life, his new life.
Is this Atrus?
And I have followed the shell, round and back again.
Or is this the Watcher?
The same.
She's talking about
the tree of all things. Who will grow it? The grower. I will grow it. The grower is the one who leads, so you will follow me. Who links at will? The grower.
So, she just straight up linked you.
The grower banishes the darkness and brings light to the cavern. Have
Interesting.
you seen the light?
Cutscene.
To think they believed him with such... It is I who command light.
So Yeesha is sounding a little power crazy at this point.
Rest in the light. Sing in the time of joy.
Feels like you probably
In the time of pride.
just backed the wrong
And take my
side.
hand again, young one.
But also it's just kind of a little bit of gibberish. Perhaps the ending has not
Time
yet been
conquered.
written.
Light to darkness, linking without books. You have done well. You have seen words fulfilled. But still more to be fulfilled. There is a new tree. Do you believe?
So it's waiting for me to hit something. So, yeah. It really sucks that there's no subtitles here. It's kind of nice that the eye is a little bit brighter, but it doesn't feel like it being a little bit brighter helps anything. In fact, it feels like it would have been nicer if she said, "Behold, I'm the bringer of light," at the beginning of the game, and brightened up the previous areas, instead of doing it right at the end. Feels like there might be a puzzle here that actually does integrate more of the experience, the previous worlds. So here we have yet another outfit, and this is basically Atrus's outfit. Yep. That he was wearing at the end. Here we have another Real 2 page. Let's read this if we can. Man, I have a hard time reading cursive nowadays, and it certainly doesn't help any that that I'm looking at this at low resolution or on a TV 10 feet away. So yeah, I think I'll have to just say pause now and read it yourself, because yeah, I can't make it out. I would have to stumble. I can see I am the grower at the end, so this seems like this is Yeesha's message. This may very well be the exact same thing she just said. Pick up his tunic, read the letter, and add the retail page. This one adds a bit of greenery to the place. You can mooch around for a bit, but in the end, the only place to go is Real 2. So, yeah. Let's go to Real 2. And it definitely is obvious that Real 2 was being hinted here as a Real Myst coming out, and I imagine Real Myst did come out after this, not Real Myst Masterpiece Edition. I would actually have to go back and look and see if Myst Masterpiece Edition even came out before Real Myst. I think the order actually was, it was Myst, then Real Myst, using the Real Media Engine, an engine that people don't use, Real Media Player, anymore. People don't use that, it's pretty much defunct. And then after Real Myst came out, they made Myst Masterpiece Edition, which was the remaster of Myst to make it actually run and be playable. And frankly, even the PC version of Myst I don't think is the original version of Myst. And then after Myst Masterpiece Edition, several years happened more, and at that point I think the Real Myst Masterpiece Edition got released. And that was a pretty dark time for Cyan as a company. They were effectively dead at that point. They had no new creative output, and they were just acting as basically a holding company of their previous works. No easy way to get back to the first page. This is why there should be 4 per page. Even if it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense anyways. You're touching the pages and they're magically showing up in your RealTube book. You have to just assume the RealTube book has the same magic that Yeesha has. So, every single thing implies that you've done everything there is to do. You were shown the end, you were shown the credit, and you were given that tease. Perhaps the end is not yet written. Here we've got a little bit of greenery. But I still definitely have some things that just don't feel like actually do anything. It's nice to have the island be a little bit greener. And this island is designed to be somewhat similar to the Myst Island. But boy, does it feel like there should have been more here. What they could have done in every expansion is they could have had more of this island expand, and then each of those expansions, like in the Myst Island there was a giant gear here that linked to one of the ages. If instead there was a giant gear here, or even a slightly smaller gear to make this world a bit smaller and kind of micro scale, that would be fine. And then that should link to that expansion, and then once you linked to that expansion, you would have everything. So take note, I do believe the last book we ever are gonna get is the Myst book. And you can see it says Myst on the side when really none of the others seem to have any language written on the sides at all. So why in the world did they make 4 extra books here and about 24 extra book spots here? It really makes no sense. And honestly, if I wasn't looking at the walkthrough and it wasn't telling me specifically that there was more things to do here, I would swear the game is over. I'm fairly certain I stopped playing URU at this point. It says, the journey is nearly over, but there's a few things to tidy up. From Real to link to the Kadesh vault, this should be your last journey cloth you touched. If not, you'll make your way. Into the vault, stand at the top of the stairs and look down to the left. Go forwards and there will be a linking book that will take you to a different version of the vault. This vault is devoid of treasure in Kadesh himself. What there is, however, is a helmet on top of the sack, some butterflies, and a torn up letter written by Yeesha. She seems to have some rather supernatural powers that she used to save old Kadesh. Climb up the stairs and walk around to the upper balcony. There is a RealTube page to add butterflies to your RealTube. Okay. So there is some integration here. So then it would just be a matter of figuring out which one is which. Not that one. So this DLC integrates back to this. Alright. I guess that is the hint here. It's not the Watcher that died and it is no longer in his grave. It's this guy, this one skeleton. We should have seen a lot more skeletons, but I guess now we kind of know why there aren't a lot more skeletons. Apparently he was trying to crawl to this linking book. So, what? Where is this linking book? Stand at the top of the stairs, look down, and turn left. Go forwards, and there will be a linking book. Stand atop the stairs. Go forward and look left. So go forward down the stairs and look left. This was the puzzle I didn't do. I saw a speedrunner actually run on this metal pipe to get to that point. That was pretty cool. A little time saver. Is that a linking book down there? Don't tell me I'm supposed to jump down there. Alright, let's read the instructions again. If all else fails. Stand at the top of the stairs, looking down, and turn left. Go forwards, it says. There'll be a linking book that will take you to a different version of the vault. Top of the stairs. Go forward. Look left. I mean, that's just nothing. There's absolutely nothing here. So either jump at blind faith. I don't see how anybody would ever have figured that out. Let's see. Inside, stand at the top of the stairs. Maybe this isn't the stairs they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about here or here or here. Yeah, here it is. A lot of different stairs to potentially click on, and I'm fairly certain that wasn't there. So these are kind of just like, I think, leftover content Easter eggs. Now, remember, as far as I've been able to figure out, and I think as far as anybody has been able to figure out, linking to a different point in the same age is impossible. So this has to be an alternate reality where Kaddish didn't die and didn't fill the place up. Which then really starts to make a question about, well, then couldn't everybody all move and live in the one Dunny reality, and just as soon as you die somebody can go and find a clone of it? Doesn't that mean that if Atrus died in one of the stories or Yeesha died in one of the stories, it doesn't really matter? We have butterflies, and we have a slightly different variant version of this. Looks like there's less things holding up this vault and less things in general. And we've got some butterflies, which is nice instead of the fireflies. We have a helmet that we can put on. Okay. And let's see if we've got it. We have a torn thing. Here are the flowers of the powers of gods, and I now have the power, I guess is I think what that says. I guess read now if you want to figure it out more. I saved his life. So, yeah. So, you take it one way or the other. Either Yeesha does have the power to change time, or she just went to an alternate reality and saved his life. Although, one of the stories, I think, of one of the kings was that he was poisoned. Several people were poisoned by going to an age. I have confirmed the stream. I can't read any of this. Let's see. Why is it torn up? Is a bigger question than I think any other question to ask. Is why is it torn up? Why is there no gold here? Did he get his life saved and then he just teleported all the gold, or was this just not the greedy version of that king, and so there never was any gold in the first place? Be funny if there was like food or some other resource here. I would think ink would have been the thing that would have been way better and way more valuable than gold. I don't really know why gold would have any value in the Deny Society at all, considering how Dunny is underground and it's probably pretty easy to run into gold veins. Alright. Let's see. So, back to Reel 2 we go. And I believe things activate by default. So I don't think I have to actually see. What if I hit F3 here? That starts you on the first page? Yes. So yeah, just a little Easter egg. Honestly, I don't know if that actually plays any role in the story at all. And it definitely doesn't give you another book. Like, I don't recall that king playing any role or doing anything. So now we've got some butterflies. If I don't accidentally walk off to my death. Yeah, it's nice to have butterflies. It's weird that they kind of fly away from me. But that's fine. Seems like that tree might be growing slowly but surely. Maybe that's the thing, is that I just haven't given the tree function or the tree modification enough time ever to be on to grow. Or maybe I've just not spent enough time on Reel 2. Alright. So the next Easter egg, link back to Myst. Get out your most old Myst notes and put in the code that was in the original game. That's what it says. But thank goodness the walkthrough shows you what the original code is. And you can just listen to the number of clicks you have to do to see how complicated this puzzle was, and if you got even a slight thing wrong, it would reset, and that would cause some frustration, to say the least. So I am just going to double check here. I believe this is the code, but I'm looking for shapes and patterns to kind of confirm it. Yeah. It's funny that the floor doesn't spin, but the walls do. Feels like the floor should spin. And so this gives us a real 2 fireplace, which is nice. And I guess that's all we can do. So back to real 2. These are little rewards. They're not really great rewards though. Like, they still kind of suck. For all the time and effort you would have put into the game. Here we have a fireplace on the other side of this that is definitely different than the fireplace that you could crawl into in Myst. But it almost means that you could live here. There's still no furniture, no chair, no water, or anything like that. But you're apparently getting some flashing lights / heating. It seems to me like there's no other thing you get from that, because the next part, let's see. Well, the last thing is called the Ahane Real 2 page. Whilst experimenting with the time warp tango, I discovered there's a dock in each of the Ahane ages. This is how I found the Real 2 page. Begin at the water Ahane, swim to the dock, touch the shell cloth, swim back to the island and use the link to the crystal thing, link. If you look over to the side of the dock, you can see this. I probably have already done this. No, I haven't. Alright. So, we've got to figure out where this dock is in the Ahane age, which would be this one. Ooh. Hey, look at that. We actually made it to the under construction place. I didn't know we could do that. Well, that sucks. That you could potentially totally miss this and just see it from that perspective. And I guess the statue probably means there's no life here. And I guess the idea is that these would have all been, either all of this would have been hidden with ground and dirt, or their intention was to make it look like this. Yeah, for all you know, this is exactly how they wanted this age to look. And it wasn't just a case of the Deny people dropping everything and leaving. Seems like there's a whole path here. It's a weird situation I'm in now, because that does kind of mean that there is very possibly several things that I didn't see. I don't know how much of that really would change my experience in any way. I wouldn't be surprised if pretty much everybody missed something. True to its name. Although, pretty much if you beat the game of Riven, if you beat the game of Myst, I think you would have seen everything. I don't think that there were Easter eggs. They were struggling probably just to get the... Ooh, gonna have to be a little bit more careful here and see if there's any holes in the ground. It's really dark. So this is, I think, the observation area that they're building. Although it feels like it's in the wrong place. Come on, jump over here. So each one of these is a ladder. So would any of these ladders lead to anything? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like I can climb up any of them. So am I missing something? Because there's really just a lot of darkness here. Yeah, it really feels like probably if I just touched the shell and it would teleport me here, and thus they needed a path for me to be able to take. And this kind of goes to show how the path was designed in the other areas. I guess maybe the statue would have shown if there was any life. This area might be a good place to depict where the dock might be, because that's what we're looking for. Come on. It's going. Yeah. Seems like I can't quite get high enough. That was close. That was very close to get me basically no further. That looks like that might be the opening to the control room. Let's see, but really the opening to the control room should be somewhere closer. Like, should be somewhere closer to that direction. It's just so dark I can't see it. Yeah, this is cool, and I guess even in this case it would have been intended to make you walk around and go in a circle. It's almost like a religious procession of some sort, that you follow the path And you go in spirals. And then you have another one of these. Yeah, wherever this dock is, though, one assumes this will send us back. This section's pretty terrible about spoiling things. I guess they figured most people wouldn't figure it out even with the help. I guess that probably is true. Because I certainly didn't figure it out. Alright, so we are looking for a dock. So, before we swim to the edges, let's figure out what they mean by dock. And I'd forgotten how slow swimming is. It seems unlikely really have to swim behind all of this. It also seems kind of unlikely that these rocks that are standing up here are going to magically have a place where I can interact with. Otherwise, so probably wouldn't hurt me to figure out what they mean by dock. If they mean the area back here or what. So I'd probably need to read the walkthrough a little bit better. And that sure does look good until you start getting a little bit closer to it. They just have it like at the perfect resolution, I think, to keep you from realizing that that's fake. Alright. Let's see. When I was experimenting with the time warp Tango, I discovered there was a dock in each of the Ahone ages, and this is how I found the RealTube page. Begin in water unknown, swim to the dock, touch the shell cloth, swim back to the island, and link to the Ahone using the pedestal. Link to Crystal Ahone Island from the gallery, link to Real 2, link to Crystal now using the shell cloth maker in the Ahone book. If you look over the sides of the dock, you can see a Real 2 page on the door. Walk around, discover the door is locked, touch the shell cloth. Link to Real 2, link to Crystal Ahone Island, link to Ahone Gallery for Pester, link to Future Ahone, link to Real 2, link to Future Ahone with using the shell cloth method. Go through the door, touch the shell cloth. That'll put you on the dock side of the door in Crystal Ahone. Okay, link to Real 2, using the gallery, using the pedestal, walk to Water Ahone, link to Ahone again. Yeah, I think I already have that. Yeah, I do, don't I? Well, that was a waste of time. So apologies for that, but we did find something new. This is the deny clock. We already found that one. What other things did we miss? I mean, we could drive ourselves crazy trying to make jumps that will almost never certainly make, because I would have to very precisely control my momentum. Not unless the game is going to just give me a break and help me with it. Yeah, doesn't seem like you can even really jump from that angle. So I'd have to kind of get here. Alright. Now what? You jump here. Jump here. Nope, didn't jump there. I have seen people, I think, online do that and make it all the way to the tree. It's not like this game has achievements or anything, and I don't think it gives you anything for doing it. These other areas are inaccessible. There very well may be one or two other things. Feels like there should be some flowers in the Real 2 Island, but yeah, I don't think there's too much here. I don't think you can start the game over and play again, which it feels like it would be kind of fairly easy to reset all of the puzzles back to the way they were. But I guess you just delete your save file and make a new profile if you want to do that. I still don't think there's a combination of like playing these colors. See, it's purple, it's orange, it's green. If this is blue, well, you might try putting in the bog code here, the blue, orange, green code. That might do something. I doubt it, and I don't really care to test it. Yeah, just to give a quick look here, I don't think there's anything more here to do. We could go back to Nevada and check it out, I suppose. Over the course of playing this whole game and the 2 DLCs, we've collected a collection of uninteresting hats, which probably are just asset flips and probably ended up in several other Ubisoft games after the fact. I wouldn't even be surprised if this is some alien outfit that shows up in a different Ubisoft game. And then we got nothing more as far as additional options of the face. So even if you were to do this online, it's just like so unfinished stuff. You have a whole bunch of Deny Recovery Council people who seem like they're kind of the bad guy, although Yeesha pretty much made herself out to be the bad guy too, or being a little crazy and power mad. That they really set her up as kind of the wrong kind of character at the end there. It totally feels like they didn't really know what they were going to do with the character, and they want her to be too powerful, which is silly. You don't want characters to be overpowered gods that potentially can bring people back to life, because that ruins any danger or any feeling of potential danger in the story. You didn't get any new hand things at all in the game. You didn't get any new pants things. Like, and feet wise, maybe there's like one shoe that's new. I don't think so though. Yeah, kind of nothing to that system still. Absolutely nothing to that system. And you kind of get the exact same ending when you beat the main game, and it brings you to this area that you you just got, where it's just showing that she's super powerful. And there's kind of nothing else that you can take from that. It's funny that she brings a storm. Like, you would think if you knew that was what you were going to show off, why not call her the Stormbringer? And why not hint at the Stormbringer is coming in several places? That would have been nice thematic, like, foreshadowing. But yeah, that didn't happen. I could probably nitpick the story that gets told here all day and all night. It would be just non-stop. There's a lot of problems with URU. And I guess if you're a hardcore Myst fan, you probably should play it. But if you just like the first couple of games and you've never played Myst 3, Myst 4, or Myst 5, there's a very decent argument to say don't bother. Just don't bother playing the URU, and don't bother even playing 4 or 5 because they're so different. It's weird that the Great Zero doesn't work here because we are technically on Deny. So this should work. Or maybe it doesn't work here because we aren't actually on Deny. We're on an alternate reality of Deny. Probably they just didn't think about it and didn't program it. So last thing I want to do, we're going a little long here, is let's just look at who actually worked on this game, The Path of the Shell. Let's see. We have CTOs and people. We're looking for a miller. At some point, Rand Miller and his brother went separate ways, and his brother was more interested in doing music. It doesn't seem like it was too contentious of breakup by any means. They seem to still be willing to work with each other and such, but yeah, Rand Miller is the person in charge of Cyan, and the new generation of people working at Cyan seem to probably not particularly enjoy that too much. But I would say he's bringing jobs to the area, and their offices are kind of in the middle of the United States area instead of being in the middle of like San Francisco. If Cyan was in San Francisco, they probably would have gone out of business just due to high rent above anything else. So you've got a lot of technology people that seem to work on one thing, more scripting, I think, this time than before. And then you've got kind of the same number of people working on art, where I would say you probably get a lot more art in the Path of the Shell than you did in the 2 Deny expansion. Or maybe you get the same amount, but it's just not all dark and samey. Concept and controls seems to be same old people in charge. Administrative support, testers. I think the testers here, in this case in particular, almost assuredly said you can't have the player stand for 45 minutes in 3 different, or stand for 15 minutes in 3 different instances, and that be the solution to the puzzle. And somehow that got overridden. And that feels like a crazy puzzle that Rand Miller would have thought of. He seems to love to make insane, I don't know if you want to call it moon logic, but insanely difficult puzzles. And then you have Ubisoft here, and you've got more producers, and more testers, and more managers, and you have a Ubisoft Europe working on it. Did Ubisoft North America work on it too? Yes. So again, 3 different teams working on it, and you can kind of figure that out pretty easily because there were 3 major areas in this DLC. So I imagine one team worked on one area, one team worked on the other area, and then the third team worked on the third area. We did get a little bit of audio that again should have just been a hologram or a cutscene of Yeesha, and that really kind of stinks that it wasn't that. We desperately needed to see more people. Interesting. Feels like where I've been standing, grass has been growing. Am I making grass grow where I walk? That would be cool. Wouldn't really mean anything, but it would be cool. I don't think that's the case. I think I was just happened to be standing in a patch of flowers. Either that or you have to stand in the same place for quite a long time. Yep. It would be kind of pointless to go any further with this criticism. You've seen the game. You've seen that a huge amount of it required using a walkthrough. You've seen that a huge amount of it does not involve puzzles. A huge amount of it does not involve moving the story along. Of course, if I had taken the time to read all of the notebooks, I would have gotten a lot more story, but a lot of players don't want to do that. Plenty of people that play Skyrim barely read those books or don't read them. Plenty of people that play Witcher barely read the books. Audio logs would have made it a lot better. Subtitles would have made it a lot better. Just when people were talking, there's really no excuse for not having subtitles. Having way more puzzles. Just having locks on doors more. Just if every area had a door and then there was some lockpicking minigame, that's a very basic thing that could have just been thrown into the game to make it more interesting and more video game like. This oddly gets very close to a walking simulator a lot of times, and when it does give you a puzzle, the puzzles are just too big, they're too complicated, and I don't know if there's enough room for games that have that big of a puzzle. You kind of need to break it into sections. You kind of need to simplify it. If people had to figure out like all the puzzles, the last puzzles in, say, the game The Witness, and that was all you had to figure out, and there were no subsections that established the rules and taught you how to solve those puzzles, it would be a terrible game. It would make no sense at all. You would just have these puzzles in front of you and have zero chance of figuring it out. That's kind of what URU is. Anyways, we're going long. That's it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, let's just end in the rain. I feel sad here, so I think it's only fair we end in a sad scene. Like, share, comments, subscribe, and watch every second of my videos because that helps me with YouTube, tells them that my videos are worth watching. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gives me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.